It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene.
Sounds holly jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
6 to be exact. Selected and arranged for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman as we engage in some seasonal shenanigans. All right, folks, and it's Christmas Eve, and much like is tradition on NBC, apparently, we're talking It's a Wonderful Life, but this isn't just any year of It's a Wonderful Life, Dragon. This is the 75th year of the existence of It's a Wonderful Life. I don't want to say the 75th anniversary because it didn't come out this day or anything. But yes, It's a Wonderful Life is 75 years old as of 2021. Big milestone. Dragon, I think it's fair to say, especially after a rewatch, this might not be our favorite old school classic Christmas movie, but I think it's fair to say it's the most important one.
I'd say it's the most iconic. I'll go as far as to say
Iconic
that.
and important, and yeah, I just think this really. Just to jump right into the thesis here, Dragon. I got to admit, the one thing I've definitely seen this movie before. More so, when I was younger, it was definitely a tradition for my family. But I gotta say, Dragon, the thing that really struck me watching this, with adult lenses, is just how rich this thing is in thematic detail. Because we don't just get like the famous night of George Bailey, we get his whole life story. And in a lot of ways, Dragon, I have a lot of I was kind of getting some Citizen Kane vibes from this. I know that's kind of a weird comparison, but I only say that because much like Citizen Kane, this movie it kind of works as like a slow downfall of an optimistic person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's in good company with Citizen Kane, unequivocally, for sure. Yeah.
And also, much like Citizen Kane, it's definitely the iconic film of the year it was released, and did not win the Oscar for Best Picture.
Yep, definitely in good company there.
Yes. So yeah, Dragon, I was just really struck by I mean, this barely feels like I don't say this in a bad way, but this barely feels like a Christmas movie in the traditional way that you think a Christmas movie would feel like. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely a Christmas movie. There's a reason they play it every Christmas Eve. But man, that build up, man. My God, the build up is just it's so powerful. I mean, this movie is long, but it really is nothing without that buildup, without that just, like just seeing George Bailey as that kind of bright, starry eyed youth and just seeing, the disintegration of his ideals before your eyes. It's powerful stuff, Dragon. It really is. And so by the time we get to the third act, it's legitimately like, it's definitely the thing that most people remember about the movie, but it's legitimately like one of the all time great third acts, not just in all of cinema, but I would say in all of storytelling practically. So yeah, I mean, suffice to say, like obviously Jimmy Stewart just fucking like absolutely kills it. I mean, what do you want me to say? This might like I always thought his best performance was Vertigo, but this might take the cake for his best performance. I really think it might. Just the layers of emotion and complexity that his character goes through. Um, yeah, just a lot of nothing but shiny, nice things to say about this one, Dragon. I don't have a cynical bone in my body about it.
Hmm. Yeah, this is again, this is probably the definitive Christmas movie. I mean, I have kind of nostalgia with this based on Batman the animated series with Christmas with the Joker. With this, for me, the gag that's always kind of brung it home is the fact that a movie so good, Commissioner Gordon has a copy of it always on him to
Mhm.
lend to Batman after after missing the special himself to save his bacon. So no, it's the fact, the running gag and the episode about the whole like, oh come on, we'll patrol the city and then you'll see It's a Wonderful Life for the first time. It's not relentlessly
I
cheerful,
mean,
is
you're
it?
right though. The surface level gag is great with that, the charming goal of the episode. But then when you think about the Gordon of it all, it just makes that gag all the more delicious and and kind of thematically relevant.
Yes, and again, it is a story that in many senses kind of parallels, kind of not just Batman, but in general, it's kind of like what kind of makes a hero, and that these are the characters that put the needs of others before themselves, and that's very much kind of the DNA of this story. So I mean, I don't know if either that episode of Batman the Animated Series was my introduction to really like, oh man, It's a Wonderful Life, period, or at the very least, that's when I kind of got the scope of, oh okay, so It's a Wonderful Life is not just a Christmas movie; it's the iconic Christmas
I'm
movie.
pretty damn
It's
sure
the
my introduction to It's a Wonderful Life was probably a parody of the angel gets its wings moment.
course, which I mean, I know another go-to for me is I was saying I knew what A Wonderful Life was before this, but remember Rocco's Modern Life? They had the it was like Rocco is trying to repair his car the
That's
whole
what I'm saying.
episode,
That is
and he
probably in all likelihood the first time I heard anything It's a Wonderful Life related was that right
yeah, and the
there.
guy
Yeah.
was like the gas cap on his car. Like every time a gas cap's found, an angel gets its wings. Your teacher's full of snot.
Oh God.
It's
Oh
just
Jesus.
really
All
fun.
right.
Anyway, so ironically, Tiki, just to piggyback off an order thought you had. So ironically, revisiting the film again, most iconic Christmas movie, yet kind of barely a Christmas movie until the very end. When you
But
think
the
about it,
very end just sells it.
yes, and that's the thing because it captures the spirit of Christmas so well in like
Uh
the last 10 minutes or 8 to 10 minutes or so. It
huh.
left such a lasting impression 75 years later and made Jimmy Stewart a household name because of that.
Absolutely.
So there's something to be said.
All right, Dragon. So for one of the few times in our podcasting history, folks, Dragon has given me the responsibility of doing background on this. Are you nervous, Dragon?
Well, considering this is the most iconic Christmas movie ever made, and you're doing the background on it, I'm not the one who should be nervous, but go on.
Fair enough. Okay. So, It's a Wonderful Life was initially based on a Christmas card of sorts. It was a 24-page short story written by Philip Stern called The Christmas Gift, which he and his wife handed out to about 200 friends as Christmas gifts. One of those friends was Cary Grant, and it caught Grant's attention, and Grant brought it to RKO Pictures. Now, the RKO version of the script was worked on by a few different writers, including one of your favorites, Dragon, at least as far as like the biopic circuit goes, Dalton Trumbo.
Yeah.
Grant eventually passed on It's a Wonderful Life to work on another Christmas classic, The Bishop's Wife, which not nearly as iconic as this one is.
But a very lovely Christmas movie.
It is. Okay, so all the meanwhile, the RKO chief, the head of chief, I'm sorry, I don't have his name, but he urged Frank Capra, good old Frank, to read The Greatest Gift. Now, Capra, he wanted to use the film as kind of a springboard because this was still very early on in his career. He was mostly known for making documentaries and training films and stuff like that. He had a couple really big films in between his initial idea to do this film and then doing it. Most importantly, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which gives us the Jimmy Stewart of it all. All right. Capra was also notoriously difficult to work with on the writing process. Dragon, this is one of the most interesting things about the movie, actually, is that to this day, there is still debate on who exactly wrote what, because when the rights were brought over to RKO, they also brought all three of the scripts over, and Frank Capra wanted to get into it, even though they had a whole writer room. All the writers in the Frank Capra version hated working Frank Capra. Like it was a total battle of wills. I honestly think that in itself could be kind of an interesting, maybe a companion piece to Mank in a way. Anyways, another interesting fun fact here, Dragon. This doesn't really have to do with the production of the movie. I just thought it was kind of interesting, just a little aside. So the town of Seneca Falls, New York. This town claims to be Frank Capra's inspiration for Bedford Falls. and it holds an annual It's a Wonderful Life festival, as well as, you're going to love this, Dragon. In 2009, it opened up the Hotel Clarence.
Yes, and the Hotel Clarence was the name inspiration for a certain angel in this movie. Am I right in that?
No. The hotel was opened in 2009, and obviously it was inspired by Clarence. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, but you want to know the wild thing, Dragon?
You mean how it inspired our WandaVision pitch?
No. There's no actual evidence that Seneca Falls, New York, was the inspiration behind It's Wonderful Life.
Is it Seneca or Seneca? Because now Dexter
I think it's
Newblood,
Seneca. I think you're right.
The other thing is Dexter Newblood has me all turned around that now, because my instinct is to say it like you did, but now it's Seneca. That's actually
yeah. I think you're right.
I don't know if there's like a Native American.
I just find, like I said, it doesn't really have to do it with the movie itself. I just find it really fascinating that this town in New York is like, hey, we're the It's a Wonderful Life town, even though to this day there's been no recorded archival interviews or audio or anything on record of Frank Capra or anyone else citing this town as inspiration. It's kind of an anomaly. I think it's funny.
I mean, again, it's just really kind of ironic that our kind of covering this year, and that we just, before we realized the anniversary of It's a Wonderful Life, for our Christmas in July pitch for WandaVision, we worked in the whole It's a Wonderful Life kind of like trivia of the town and everything for upstate New York setting. So it's kind of funny how that worked out.
All right, so James Stewart, of course, especially after stuff like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, was the only actor ever considered for George Bailey as far as Frank Capra was concerned. However, Dragon, there was a long list of actors considered for Mr. Potter, and do you know who the most famous one was?
Who was the most famous one?
Vincent Price. This was cool. H.B. Warner, who played Mr. Gower in the film, actually studied medicine before getting into acting. And also Mr. Gower was named after the location of Columbia Studios, which was on Gower Street at the time. And by the way, Dragon, Mr. Gower is one of the big moments in the film has him. So I'm excited to talk about him.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and I have just a few more notes here. I already mentioned that it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, but only won a technical award, which I think is pretty much the same record that Citizen Kane had. Dragon, do you know about Jimmy the Raven?
No.
You don't know? I'm surprised. Wow. So you know the Raven that's just hanging out in the courthouse.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, so I know. Yeah, there's the Raven in the movie. What's the deal with the Raven, though?
Okay, he is actually a famous Hollywood Raven, Dragon. He is actually the crow that landed on the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. Right. Among a number of other things, but that's definitely like his most iconic on-screen role.
So this is a celebrity crow.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know what they should call him?
What?
You know what should have been really renamed as? Cameron Crowe.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay. But of course, he had the name Jimmy before he came on set to work with Jimmy Stewart, and so of course Jimmy Stewart would always joke about like, hey, who are you calling here? Are you calling Jimmy the Man or Jimmy the Crow? Okay, and finally, Dragon. One of the interesting things about the set building in this film was the exteriors were super flexible because they needed to change the weather throughout the seasons. It's actually one of the most ambitious town sets of all time and includes a full bank, a parkway, 20 full-grown oak trees, plus a whole town's worth of stray cats, pigeons, etc. Just various different like animals to populate the town. And Capra was really keen on that. That was one of the big things, the direction for Capra was that he really wanted to make a town that felt extremely lived in, extremely tangible, but at the same time, idyllic and storybook-esque. And there we go. That's also just a couple more notes, couple more milestones. It was one of the very first films to be colorized. you know, for better or worse.
Very infamously, if I recall.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Which again, to me, how do you feel about the whole colorization thing on this one? Because I think it's a sin. Like, you shouldn't colorize this puppy, man.
I mean, I got to admit, the only copy I could find online was colorized, and it didn't really bother me.
Well, it's on Amazon Black and White, Tiki. Really? You watched the colorized?
Is it on Amazon Black? And I should have tried harder to find the
Yes,
Black and
you
White
should
version.
have, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I mean, I got the story. You know, I don't know. I thought it looked fine, Dragon. I don't know.
All right, fine. Okay, so we got colorized.
And then also, on a more cool note, and this is the last note I have, it's the very first film to be distributed on CD-ROM. Yeah. Tim from Jurassic Park would be really impressed at that fun fact.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Dragon, that's all the notes I got, man.
All right.
How'd I do? Give me a grade.
Let's not dwell on grades right now. Let's just move on. So,
all right. Also, we have that guy in the comments. Merry Christmas to you, that guy. Happy to see you.
Merry Christmas, buddies.
Thank you for spending some of your Christmas Eve with us. Very appreciated. I hope that wife and that child are doing well. All right.
Anyway.
Okay, so where do you want to go, Dragon?
All right, well, let's start with, I want to talk about the structure for a minute. So, really gutsy move, like going for literally over half the runtime. The movie's like, what is it, like 2 hours, 10 minutes, roughly?
Yeah, I would wager to say that literally the only Clarence stuff we get, I mean, outside of obviously like some of the voiceover stuff, just to do the exposition, I really do think Clarence comes in at the low of lows. I mean, very purposefully so. Like, so literally all of the iconic It's a Wonderful Life kind of like, not time travel, but, kind of like alternate reality sort of stuff is all in Act 3, Dragon. It's all in Act 3.
Yeah, it's just such a you rarely would get away with this today. In that, I just like the overconfidence of Frank Capra of just like, I'm going to take over half the movie, basically go all the way to Act 3 in just setting up what happens through this. Okay, we're telling Clarence the story. We're going to show what happens. The George Bailey, they cram the whole guy's life, the whole lifestyle and everything up to that point. All of that setup, knowing this is going to pay off and basically lead to a tremendously fast-paced Act 3 that all kind of fits in nicely.
Yeah, so in that regard, this might be like one of the all-time great slow burns in film history, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's funny because it's like you never think of a Christmas movie as a slow burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, usually
like that sort of terminology just never comes up for Christmas movies.
Yeah.
That's exactly that's like the main thing I want to highlight with this film. I'm sorry, I'm kind of talking over you, Dragon. I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a thesis in here. Is just the fact that, like I said in my thesis, this does not feel like a Christmas film, but by all accounts, it is an iconic. Like, the Christmas season would be incomplete without it. It's as quintessential to the Christmas season as something like A Christmas Story or The Nightmare Before Christmas or The Grinch or something like that. It is a hallmark, and yet it's so unlike any other Christmas movie that I can think of. Like, it really is in kind of its own category. All right, Dragon, I'm sorry. I'm geeking out. By all means, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, just with the Christmas setting, here's the thing, and that you need Christmas to kind of like basically get people get the plot squared away in terms of, okay, certain characters are gone because of the holiday season, and pretty much we're having the family over for Christmas, and then it kind of just accentuates everything because of just like the sheer tenfold kind of holiday cheer of just kind of like that. Of just like the Norman Rockwell kind of postcard come to life that is the end of this film, but we'll get there. Well, my point is, so that's why you need the Christmas setting. But I mean, beyond that, though, and outside of that, it's kind of like, yeah, you do not need a Christmas setting because so much of the story is the setup, which does not take place at Christmas. You just need basically the low of lows to take place at Christmas.
Exactly.
Which is very interesting. And again, very
speaking of that, this must be the first story, like in pop culture history, to address the theme of depression around the holidays.
I would say so. Like, it's not just like we're not just dancing around suicide. Like, we call out suicide.
And I
Yeah.
respect that. I respect that.
And again, just the show that can happen to the most happy-go-lucky. Let's talk
Yeah,
about George
yeah.
Bailey, man. Let's talk about so Jimmy Stewart's definitive role. I mean, right? I mean, everyone again made him a house. I know it's between this and probably Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, but let's be honest.
Yeah, it's between this and I would say collectively his two Hitchcock roles.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't pick one of his Hitchcock roles over the
that's
other
the
one.
thing, though. But I mean, I still say this is the one that made him a household.
This is his
name,
definitive one. I think I really do. Yeah.
I mean, no, the Hitchcock. You're right. There is kind of an argument to be made with the Hitchcock thing, but still, this is like the one that everybody knows him for, even if they haven't seen the Hitchcock films. It's like, oh yeah, Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life guy. He's in a Hitchcock movie. Well, now,
so Dragon, I'm just gonna bare my soul here. Rewatching this movie, I got so caught up in the plight of George Bailey, and I saw a lot of myself in him.
Myself really did. As well. I saw a little bit of that too.
It was Dragon. It was powerful. It really because what I saw in myself in George Bailey was him putting other people before himself, and constantly constantly almost like not by his own fault, but kind of just getting in his way because of his, I don't know. I don't want to like push myself up as like some martyr or anything like that, because I'm really not. But, I do have this tendency to want to be a problem solver and want to, so I thought the message of this movie was incredibly powerful, because I consider myself, believe it or not, Dragon, based on our interactions, I do consider myself an optimistic person in the grand scheme of things. But as you know, Dragon, I am also someone where if the universe fucks with me, I kind of go kicking and screaming a little bit.
Heavens no.
Okay, so but you get it though, like because of that kind of duality in my personality, this movie just honestly, Dragon, I feel like this is gonna sound really cheesy. All right, get ready for the cheese here.
Oh god.
But I feel like I needed to watch this movie at this stage of my life. I really do. I really feel like I needed this. I really feel like this was like a valuable adult lesson that I needed to relearn for myself. All right, I'm done with the cheese, Dragon.
Okay, so my point
I hope you're not lactose intolerant.
Okay, so Jimmy Stewart, just the George Bailey character, all American as it gets. You fall in love with the straight arrow character, man. I mean, it's like Steve Rogers for the holiday season. Really, that's ultimately what George Bailey is. And
what I love about George Bailey's character is the fact that he starts out as that kind of like all American kind of Steve Rogers. And then progressively, as the story goes on, and through no fault of his own,
beat him down.
Yeah, and it's like it's like he helps other people get to their points of success, but he never gets that gratification in his own life. That's a goddamn powerful statement that I can relate to. But
right, but yeah, it's. It's just like we took the everyman and we just gave him layers, and it's just something really kind of strong and just kind of universal. And seeing the everyman, basically the guy epitomizes the long held belief of nice guys finish last.
Totally.
Just to every iota, just like this guy is. Again, he's
so like I said, just seeing him go from the optimist to literally suicidal. I mean, it's like I feel like we need to see more depictions of mental health like that, that really give you the full spectrum, and not just like, hey, this guy's depressed, he's gonna off himself. You know what I mean?
And again, it was very
like that's what I respect about this movie so much, is we see exactly what got him to that point. I'm sorry, Dragon, go ahead.
And again, it's very forward thinking to kind of explore that, and in the 46, I believe. So yeah, it was basically, I love that with the structure that we have in place to basically see all of George Bailey's life, to kind of show how we earn that point, earn kind of that low point, is that we see the totality of the life choice. It's kind of the telltale effect, just kind of the long, slow burn of the telltale kind of effect of George.
Okay, this is silly, but I actually could see this movie being adapted in the telltale format, Dragon. I really could.
Well, if they need a Christmas game,
that's what I'm saying. I really could see it.
All right, so just to read some of the highlights.
Mr. Potter will remember this.
Right. So, for example, so he saves his brother when he falls in the ice, and at the cost of his own hearing, and basically excludes him from military service. Being kind of a decorated military officer, and saving some other people. It's again the Steve Roger parallels. I'm just saying. We're gonna Anyway, the point being though, he saved his brother, lost his hearing, and then of course the big scene we're very eager to talk about, Mr. Gower.
Okay, I think this is like, for all of the hype that the third act gets, this might be the most powerful scene in the movie for me, Dragon.
And here's some background. I'm sure you're aware of this.
Go ahead.
Mr. Gower, during this scene, again, I'm sure the fact that, as you said, kind of a real. Was he like a pharmacist in real life? Did he he had?
He studied medicine. That's
okay,
all I know.
Okay, yeah, being studied medicine, I'm sure that kind of added extra layers to the scene. So, the actor played Mr. Gower. He actually hit the kid in this scene. When he's bleeding in this scene. That is the kid actually bleeding. That's not makeup. That's he actually hit the kid.
So the reason I find this scene as powerful as I do is because it is very harsh. It's incredibly
the fact that
harsh.
It's so messy, right? That's what does it.
Yes, but it's the fact that, like, as soon as Gower realizes what he's done, Dragon, holy shit, that change in face is a thing of utter acting beauty, Dragon.
I just thought it was so.
It's haunting how that face changes.
It is, but I mean, everything leading up to that too. Just seeing, the idea of like all the stars aligning for a tragedy, for yet all the tragic dominoes to line up.
Like everything's coming down on him all at once. Not just the fact that he just hit this child, but also the fact that he came so close to inadvertently murdering this whole family.
The mitigating factors being he just lost his son.
Exactly.
But here's what I really love about it, though, just how Capra is kind of relaying all this visually in story. We're okay, so young George is working the counter, and he kind of sees the article or the obituary or whatever it is that or like the medical thing from the doctor about his son dying, and in the midst of it, we can see the grief, and we see something's off with Gower, man. We see something's off with the guys. I love that we kind of put the mystery together quite fast, and like that. Then you kind of see, like, oh god, we're in George's POV as he's piecing together. Gower is not in his right mindset, so he's putting together the medicine. This is something I never knew. Like, oh god, it's like I didn't know if like there was like literally like a poison that could be mixed in there. Like, I mean, I think they might be kind of dumbing it down, so like they call it poison.
I think they are. Yeah. So
that, regardless, it adds kind of an extra sense of drama. Like, oh god, it was like very directly he would have killed this child by accident. He would have almost kills a sick child in his grief.
Because of that, Gower throughout the rest of the movie becomes one of George Bailey's, like, I don't know, like, he's just, what would you call him, Dragon? He's just like very actively, like, I would say, a cheerleader for George Bailey, right?
Yes, he's an advocate for.
Yeah.
He's very much,
and I just find that whole relationship, that lifelong dynamic, to be just so loving.
And again, it's just the fact that our boy here, George, he takes a beating of, to his bad ear nonetheless. Which again, actual bleeding. This poor kid, he just got hit on the head. Like the actor, like hugged him and apologized. I'm so sorry. Kind of the scene called for it. It was like a whole thing. It was the 40s, kids. Anyway, so the fact is, like, George Bailey yet again,
Crosby's in the corner, like, you think that's bad? You should see how I whip my kids.
But it's just the fact that just the vulnerability and just the honesty of this kid, like, again, pulling the full Steve Rogers here, of just like explaining, no, I didn't do it because you were going to endanger this kid, and he's trying not to tear the guy down, like, you did this, and try to blame. Listen,
for sure.
If you let this happen, he would have died. You mixed it in wrong, and the kid's in tears from the pain he's just incurred, and the fear from kind of his mentor and his boss here, and I love the fact he's still like he's honoring the man. But look, I'll keep it secret. I won't tell anybody.
Right.
And I love like Clarence, like, well, did he tell anybody? He says, no, he didn't. So
there's one thing we should mention is that the fact that Clarence, in spite of only appearing in Act 1, I really think it was a stroke of genius to give him and the other angel, I believe what's the name of the other angel?
Joseph.
Joseph, that's the one.
Joseph's the main one. I don't know who the other guy is. I think it's just Joseph.
But I think it's kind of a stroke of genius in the script to kind of like, all right, throughout this whole story, it's like we're not seeing Clarence directly, but we're getting Clarence's reactions. We're kind of seeing Clarence form his opinion on George Bailey.
Which is really clever. That Clarence is essentially the audience, and just kind of
Right,
like, I
right,
like this,
yeah.
I like this. That's what I'm saying. All of Act, well, again, I kind of call Act 1, but just extends in this giant kind of like kind of setup for 2 acts.
Like I said, Dragon, literally the entire everything that everyone knows this movie for is all Act 3.
I mean, if the only way you can possibly separate it is Act 2 is pretty much the Christmas scene before he goes
Right,
to the
right,
bridge.
yeah.
That's essentially Act 2. That's pretty short. Anyway, so the point being, he's forming the connection that we, the audience, are forming as well. I like that George Bailey guy. He's a stand-up guy, and of course, now years later. And we've talked about this, I'm sure, is of course you take something like basically a huge kind of like parody of "It's a Wonderful Life" with the Very Merry Muppet Movie. It's been so long since I've seen
for
Life,
sure.
I forgot. Like, oh god, they literally in like the whole setup thing, and we do literally the structure of. Here's the thing: when everyone lobbed the "It's a Wonderful Life" comparison, I was figuring, oh yeah, because of the whole like when Kermit wishes, I wish I'd never been born, born. That whole thing. When he's doing all that, it's like, okay, there's your "It's a Wonderful Life." But no, oh my god, the structure is identical to we have our godlike figure as well as our guardian angel having a conversation as they're watching. We love Kermit the Frog. We don't want to see him go down this path, just like It's a Wonderful Life. It's
Kermit the Frog is such a good avatar for Jimmy Stewart too.
I mean, yes, it's really it was a stroke of genius. If you're gonna do a Wonderful Life, you cannot do like if you need the most Americana as you can as your lead.
You know what I want to see Kermit the Frog do next?
What you want to see?
Him do Atticus Fitch.
That'd be good. I kind of want to see Charlie Cox
right?
do it, I got to be honest. But
I mean, Atticus Fitch would be Kermit's Oscar moment, Dragon.
God, it would be. It would be.
All right. Anyway,
part of me would love to be Charlie Cox just for the fun of like, oh, look at be a lawyer.
Sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. Charlie Cox would be
no, but I hear it. The frog would absolutely get that Oscar. Give the frog the Oscar.
Be a Muppet. It wouldn't even be a Muppet To Kill a Mockingbird. You just do a remake and cast Kermit the Frog.
Exactly. just the one Muppet player.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Point being, you have just a large amount of sincerity and complexity of the moment there, Mr. Gower, and then we also have like kind of our third big moment with the wedding fund, like the basically the wedding present of a whole bunch of cold hard cash as the building and loan is facing really hard times, and basically Potter has put him in a really precarious situation here. Like he's offering like 50 cents on the dollar if you like.
So Potter is, I think, one of the all-time great film villains. I really do.
He's really good. I mean,
he's good in like a realistic kind of way.
Yep. Good guy. Here's the thing. Let's talk about Henry Potter in general. Henry Potter, just George Bailey's utter opposite, as you want in kind of an antagonist for your film. He's all business. He's cynicism. There's no trust at all. He wants to turn Bedford Falls, as we see in kind of our warped kind of like what if version of a George Bailey-less world. His goal is to turn Bedford Falls into nothing but crass and slummy dive bars.
Okay, Dragon, I'm sure we're going to talk about this once we get to Act 3, but there's a lot of parallels to Back to the Future Part 2.
Well, absolutely, yes. Very intentional.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, so again, it's pretty much, it's money versus, it's like the money of big business, which at that point in the 40s would be looking for. It's kind of funny how this works out when you think about it. It's looking at the 75-year history and everything. It's like, okay, so the vision of like a dark future in the 40s was the 70s, essentially. It was like 70s or early 80s New York. Which is really funny. It's like New York at its worst.
Okay, well, I have a couple other notes, but we'll get there. There's one thing in particular about the finale that I don't think is aged all that well, but we'll get there.
Well, there are a couple things that have not aged well. For example, I'm going to phrase this kind of silly because it's kind of an uncomfortable topic. Tiki, there's a mammy in this movie.
Oh, yeah, there is. Oh,
there's a mammy.
We just pretend that doesn't exist.
All right, that's okay. I just wanted to say it at least once.
It's like, because literally when she was on screen, I was kind of just like, oh, that's not happening, right? The rest of this movie's so good. That's not real. It's just my brain hallucinating.
To be fair, some of the great films do have mammies in them.
I know.
All right.
It's a shame.
Unfortunately, it does not integrate as well as Going with the Wind, but c'est la vie.
Yeah.
Okay, point being. Anyway, let's
Way to
see.
bring down the room.
I'm not saying like
Literally,
it's
my
like the worst thing
enthusiasm just
ever. It's
dropped
just
about 10 points.
look, I'm not saying it's like she doesn't like we don't like draw like a lot of focus to it.
No,
It's just like,
no.
hey, there, there's but I'm saying you have a few elements, like for example, the flirtation with Mary, a little racier than I remembered it being.
Mm. All right. Speaking of Mary Dragon, I'm fuck it. Since you said that the mammy thing, I'm gonna say the other thing that hasn't aged well, but I think it's more funny than racist. Um, Egads, it's an older single female with glasses who works at the library. Oh, the horror! Oh, the humanity!
She's oh god, we called it something. I'm trying to remember what
An
it was.
old
They called
maid.
it the old maid. Thank you. That's what they do. Yes, she's an old maid.
Drake, that was honestly the one moment in the movie, besides the fucking mammy shit, that I kind of just blocked out.
Again,
That was
it's
like,
really like one scene. Don't feel
I
that
know,
bad
I
about
know.
it. It's like,
That was like the one moment in the movie where it's like, okay, like this is a little silly. Like this should not be that melodramatic, guys. Come on now.
I mean, like to be fair, okay, here's a difference. Okay, I'm just gonna use the other "It's a Wonderful Life" comparison here. In Very Merry Muppet Christmas, their version of the old maid was Miss Piggy, just as kind of a crazy, kind of a cat lady and kind of phone huckster.
Oh my
It's
god, yeah, right,
that
right.
was far more sad. That's more sad and lonely than Old Maid. I don't know. It's feel like Old
Dragon,
Maid.
she's a librarian.
That's what I'm saying. She seems like a happy librarian, honestly.
Dragon, I'm attracted to librarians. Fun, like that's an actual fact about me. I like smart women. What do you want to? You like? What are you gonna do? I don't know. I just think it's weird.
I got nothing against attractive librarians either.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Let's dispel this stereotype. Attractive librarians are in fact attractive and interesting women we should not fear as old maids. I'm talking to you.
1,000%. I am totally on board with that.
I'm talking to you, 40s. Okay.
Just 1940s as a blanket collective.
Yeah. Don't fear the Coke bottle glasses. Embrace them. Right.
Glasses are honestly like one of the sexiest things.
Okay, now we're kind of towing a line here.
Okay. I'm just saying.
All right. So, point being, let's just backtrack off the Mary thing for a second. Let's go back to Henry Potter's for a moment. So again, just this guy, just greed and ambition for power that essentially drove Peter Bailey into an early grave, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
And just utterly telling,
just the fact that George Bailey he keeps getting at every turn his things just keep going horribly wrong.
Let me tell you what I think the saddest scene in the movie is.
What do you think is the saddest scene?
The thing that just crushed my heart for George Bailey. I mean, the thing that literally, it's pretty much essentially is there's a debate because there's a lot of low things that happens really close to each other. Like, what is the moment you could say? I mean, a lot of people I think would just jump to when he kicks over the stuff and the Christmas decorations and everything.
I would say that was it. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, that's probably it. But I mean, for me, the moment that kind of leads to that, to me, that is literally that's the moment that then leads to him basically having the outburst is when George Bailey is prostrating himself to the man, just like his father did when he was a child, interrupting the meeting, begging this guy for more time and begging him for help. And just the fact that after he turned him down, the whole basically the offer, I want to buy, I want to buy your business, and I'll promote you can be a captain of industry, like myself and everything. And just the fact that he was forced in that position after he had a moral high ground, shutting this guy down. And we know this guy did it through ill guy. He literally stole that $8,000, and it's just that. And then of course, just the big revelation of you're worth your insurance, your life insurance, but you're actually worth more dead than alive.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
So just that Jesus. To me is that is the heartbreaking thing. Just seeing him in the position of his father, the man who essentially kind of drove his father to that early grave. That to me is that's the insult. Oh God, poor George.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about let's brighten things up here. Let's talk about Mary. So Mary, very natural relationship. I like that it wasn't
What do you think of the love triangle, by the way?
Well, to be fair, I think the love triangle was kind of in quotes, or a love triangle was it was Violet. Violet Bick, is it? Is it Brick? It's Bick,
Yeah.
right? There's a Violet Bick. She's like the town flirt, you know. She's like,
Right,
I
right.
think it's less. It's not exactly like a Betty or Veronica situation here. It's more so like, you know, yeah, he could end up with Violet, sure, but so could anyone else in the town. Let's be honest.
But yeah, Mary is a great you know, she's a really well written love interest. Like, and it's great because we literally see her, you know, like grow up with George, you know, like from being a kid to high school all the way up until, you know, the struggles of adulthood and family life.
I love that she kind of secretly bared witness to the Mr. Gower scene. I think that was a really
Uh-huh.
telling kind of moment. I like the fact that, you know, it kind of grew. It was an attraction that grew. It wasn't just there from the start.
Sure, sure.
And again, the moon scene, so darn romantic. Bruce Almighty used it for a reason.
They did, totally,
They
totally.
did. But I'll tell you, I completely forgot though, because you know
What?
you're towing lines. I'm going to tow another line.
Oh God.
So, the robe scene, very risque for the 40s.
It was, sure,
Very
sure.
risque, salacious. Oh, dare I say? Anyway,
Did you get just a little bit sick of Buffalo Gals by the end of this movie?
yeah,
I did too. That's a nitpick.
you want to do it twice, sure, just to establish that's their thing. But I mean, the fact she's doing it in her sleep. I don't buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that at all. 40s. I don't buy
Right.
it. I don't buy it.
I love how we're just getting collectively more angry at just the 40s.
Right. So Mary, big thing, of course. Mary bails George out of his low lows, big time. She kind of rallies the town. She helps him out.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, earlier too, we kind of glazed over this. I was trying to get in there, like, you know, they spent their wedding nest egg to save the you know, the bank and loan. So it's kind
And
of a
also
payoff
how
to
good
that
of
as well.
like I think this is the test of a good wife right here, Dragon. I think this is probably her best moment. Is after George pretty much abandons her on the side of the road
Yeah.
to fix his business
Mhm.
on their honeymoon.
Oh yeah.
She brings the honeymoon to him in the hotel.
Yep.
Dragon, oh my God, that is so refreshing. That is so refreshing that we don't have to do a scene of like, George Bailey, it's either you or the business and loan. It's either me or the business and loan.
Well, I've been out at the hotel. If I recall, taking you correct me if I'm wrong. I might have been confusing my locations here. Wasn't the surprise actually in lieu of the hotel, which they now probably cannot afford because of the nest egg?
Yes, yes, you're right.
They refurbished the home, which I thought was the most beautiful thing romantically in the film was that
I did too. Yeah,
they had the wishing house, like this rundown. Again, it was very much, I think, the obvious parallels here. And again, this was an influence on.
I mean, you know, the lassoing the moon thing is one thing, but you know, remember that night all those years ago when we were throwing rocks? This is what I wished for. That's the ultimate romantic moment. Dragon.
So honestly, I got parallels, and these were intentional parallels because when they were making this movie, they did look to the works of Frank Capra in terms of kind of a tonal thing. Up, it's very much like Carl Nelly had the rundown house.
There's a lot of Up in this for sure. Absolutely.
And again, obviously, Up definitely has a lot of Frank Capra influence with the ending and everything. You know, though that a boy Clarence was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of Up. So this is the fact of like just that rundown house, and you make a wish when you toss the rock in there, and the fact the town came together and they built it up into a nice home that then was populated. And it was nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's see. So one big thing of Mary, then we'll transition here. So Mary, of course, the reason George never left, and he essentially kind of settled and kind of fell in love with the town, kind of Groundhog Day style, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. So Uncle Billy, let's talk Uncle Billy and how he screwed the pooch.
He did.
Oh God! And I you know my favorite thing though, I love that this kind of excuses it a lot. Where we set up that Uncle Billy's very forgetful, and I love his like one detail that kind of told you everything you need to know about him. He had the strings tied on his hands.
Oh God!
You remember the forget-me-not strings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing of like, oh, I gotta go. Where's my hat? It's on your head.
So, boy, oh boy, just Potter, that's such a miserly prick. He just like did not return that money, and he just like, I'm going to screw my competition over. Mwahahaha. Yeah, there's not so many words. So, but yeah, so just poor forgetful Uncle Billy, essentially the Fozzie Bear in our comparison here. He lost the money, and now on all days, the bank examiner is there for the holidays, and they are in deep, deep, deep doo doo, and Potter is basically issued a warrant for George Bailey's arrest. Like, my God, he's so
That is
evil.
another low of lows, by the way. It's just like, okay, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, can it get any darker than that?
But after he begged him for help, was like, not only will I not help you, I'm gonna call the cops on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God. All
on
right.
Christmas Eve. In front of your children.
All right, yeah.
So all of this contributes to a very earned breakdown for our good, upstanding family man who we fall in love with up to this point. So the ultimate,
it's earned, but it's still painful to watch.
So again, it's the ultimate low point of again becoming his father at his most desperate. Here is the realization he's worth more dead than alive, and he goes home, and what does he do? He snaps at his kids and his wife. And
Mhm.
it's so hard to watch. I love when he's chewing out the teacher on the phone. And I completely forgot how that came back. Oh God, they have a husband beat up at the bar. Yeah.
Mhm.
I gotta admit though, I don't know if this is the Larry David in me or not. I'm not sure. It's like, you know what? What was that teacher think? I think she deserved a little bit of a chewing out. My kid
Oh
got
God.
sick. You let her leave with the coat open. I don't care if it was the flower. I mean, really, you couldn't just let her have the flower. You had this hey, they take the flower in the snow. Make it feel guilty if it dies. So carry carefully and get sick.
Right.
Anyway, so but again, like visually too, with James Stewart, we see him with the with the dark circles under his eyes and everything. And after he snaps, you see the genuine like regret and remorse instantly. After Mary, I didn't mean that. Play the piano.
Oh God. And this is I mean, probably without a doubt, this is probably the most powerful moment of acting from Jimmy Stewart in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when he leaves the house in shame because he just can't stand to look at himself after what he's done, that leads to drunken stupor, which of course leads to the bridge.
Oh yeah. Okay, Dragon. So from this point on, the movie is just like it pretty much just speaks for itself with how iconic everything is. I feel like every little moment, every little beat is just like it could be pretty much be preserved in a museum. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you a bit I forgot though, and I really enjoyed this moment on the rewatch. Clarence's introduction. I remember like Clarence shows up and he chats him up. I completely forgot like how precisely he met him, and that oh God, Clarence, he fakes drowning.
But I love how smart that is. I love how
know.
Clarence, he realizes like even in the midst of literally the lowest point in George Bailey's life,
he's still a good
not
man.
going to let another person die on
George
his
Bailey,
watch.
fundamental. That's why again. The whole movie starts with praying for George Bailey. It's like, why are all these people praying for this man? Well, he's like he's a saint of a man, practically. He's a near saint. And it's like we know George Bailey's a good man, and it's the fact that he would absolutely jump in to save him, and of course, in turn, that saves Georgie boy at the end of the day. So let's talk our nightmare reality. What if George Bailey was never born? It's kind of a cross between Twilight Zone and Back to the Future too.
I mean, I love it. I don't even know what else there is to say about it. I feel like it kind of speaks for itself. Everything about it just works so well. I love how many payoffs in the screenplay there are, which to me, it's like the fact that the screenplay has so many good payoffs in it really is kind of like it's a testament, because it's like, how I mentioned there's a big dispute over the writers of this thing. It's like however it came together damn well.
I will say this: the one knock I do have against this movie, main issue of the film is, and again, it's another 4 days, kind of one of those
40s.
4 days. So it's basically it's
go to your room, 40s.
4 days, not now, just not now. Anyway, no, it's the 40s repetitiveness of the concept of just basically George Bailey's really slow in the uptake, and it gets old after a while. Like, George, have you not picked up on what's going on here after 5 realizations? I mean, come on, man. So that's always that's a thing you can't really fix in the movie though. That was kind of a thing of the times. It was very like Twilight. What Tiki and Dragon? What was the year on the Twilight Zone again?
Oh, this was pre-Twilight Zone.
I knew. I'm wondering.
Twilight Zone was 50s. Yeah,
Twilight Zone was 50. I could have. Twilight Zone wasn't the 60s. It was the 50s, right?
It's worth a Google, but I know it's definitely after this.
Okay. Well, regardless, sure, absolutely.
1 second, just to confirm, just because you put in my head, it started in 1959, so I was technically right.
Right on the line. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I love. Here's what I really like seeing too. I love seeing George Bailey when they go into the bar, even at a low point, at such a low point. He cares about this stranger he's just met. He's kind of He's kind of becoming chums with him here, where he's like, the whole. You have the runner about the whole an angel without wings, and kind of making fun of him for that, but also like, hey, you got a place to sleep? Just gonna find my angel buddy here. He's just kind of a drifter. Perhaps I should offer him shelter. Even again, it's George Bailey. The DNA's there. It's like, this is why we gotta save this guy. He's gonna help an angel. He's gonna let an angel bunk with him. All right, so Mr. Gower, very heartbreaking just seeing him as the town drunk.
Oh my god, yeah, he is easily like, I think, the saddest thing in the let's call it the Flash Sideways universe.
Sure. The what if, like the nightmare reality, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's oh god, like and again, I think that's one of the things like I said with the setup and payoff, the whole thing of like, but my brother was in the war. He saved all those men. All those men died because you weren't around to save your brother.
Absolutely, and the fact that I believe does he go to his grave? Am I misremembering that?
Yes, he goes to his grave. Yes,
right.
In a very Christmas Carol-esque moment.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I want to make sure I wasn't thinking of like one of the umpteenth adaptations of Stealing Christmas Carol.
No. Yeah, I feel like this is the original like dramatic go to the grave moment that Christmas Carol kind of.
So I remember when I watched It's a Wonderful Life for the first time way back when. I thought, oh god, his brother has died in the ice, but like no, he saved his brother.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh my god, the grimmest way to start any movie. We killed him in the ice. We killed a child in the ice. But no, we saved him. We saved him. Only to kill him later.
And then I think the really dark mark on that gravestone scene is when you see, the age gap, and the kid died like, at like 7 years old or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, the thing for me too is that Mr. Gower, he served 20 years in prison for guilty.
Oh my god! Oh Jesus! So
remember, he's not just the town drunk. He's the town drunk after he's going into such a depression after accidentally killing that kid because George never stopped him with the pills. He never said there's poison in the pills.
Oh my god! Oh, okay. I'm back to total geek out mode. Right. With this movie.
Okay, so we gotta brighten things up here because we already talked about the dumb spinster joke, but we're
yeah, that's like the one thing that does not work in this Flash Sideways stuff. Yeah,
it was like this way. In terms of, if we're doing like a Twilight Zone comparison, this is like the Twilight Zone at its campiest, where basically they were rehashing the greatest hits of the Twilight Zone. It was sort of like where you had like, but there was time, or like everyone's
right. I mean, it's like, I get the idea of the spinster. I honestly think if it was executed better, like if she was a little bit more unhinged. But that's the thing. It's like, she's not unhinged. She just seems like a perfectly normal librarian woman.
I mean, honestly, if we just saw her kind of in private, it was like, again, the reason the Miss Piggy thing worked was that you saw her.
Like, that she was batshit crazy, yeah.
Yes, and also kind of weeping in private. If we saw a little bit of that, and like, okay, well, she's very sad. Instead, like, no, we have crazy George Bailey, who at this point, yet again, is still not grasping the concept.
Oh my god, you have glasses! Glasses!
No, just chased her. No, married. We're married. Oh god. So that's what I'm saying. It's just. All the factors just don't build to, like, unfortunately, it's like for the umpteenth time, he's still not grasping the concept, and he's losing his crap over, she's a librarian. Why? It's like, Jimmy.
Oh, dear God, Jimmy. This movie's so fucking good, and yet there's that one element that's so easy to make fun of.
It's like, George. No, right? George.
Again, we at So You Want to Be an Imagineer respect librarians of all ages, nationalities, genders, etc.
But especially the attractive young ones.
Indeed.
Okay, so let's talk the basically the Norman Rockwell Christmas card come to life.
I mean, what else do you want to say, Drag? Like, teacher says blah 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 blah.
Well, no, before that, I'm just saying, like, when he's running through the town, just like the Merry
Dragon. It's Christmas Carol. It's classic Christmas Carol. It's delightful. It's such a good payoff. It's a shot of dopamine to the system.
It's the most happy-go-lucky celebration of small-town America ever.
Right.
Okay, so the ending itself, just again, Capra. just nailed the uplifting and believable ending. I love that it was like within the realm of possibilities. Basically, it was I can't remember. Tiki, do you remember? This is not gonna help us here, but do you remember the year it's A Miracle on 34th Street came out?
Well, I can Google it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, so freaking
1947.
Yep, 47. All right, so this does predate that. So it's I wouldn't it be crazy if it's like, man, remember that great scene in the thing? It's like, Sweeping the Nation, It's a Wonderful Life, where they dump all the money on the table. Like, what if we did that with letters?
Totally, yeah.
But in a courtroom, like a place of standing. So just the fact that everyone came together and it's such a heartwarming memorial. Just the town repaying the goodwill and personal investment this one man had how he enriched all their lives and made them all better. Like Martini, the bartender, like he paid off his house or whatnot. Like finally, thanks to George Bailey, it all paid off, and thanks to his wife, who was the first to bear witness to his good deeds, and was like with Mr. Gower, and then also ultimately his brother Harry and Sam Wainwright, the plastic guy during World War II, like gave him $25,000. It all worked out nicely. And here's something again with the bell ring. Those that had like a layer to it no one ever thinks about. I don't think is again. George Bailey, he'd shoot out Mrs. Welsh. He did. So I like that we kind of bought that back of like, yeah, he'd shoot her out.
Oh my God, you're right. I never do think about that. Yeah.
He really let her have it. But you know what, though? He then respected her at the
end. Welsh is part of like one of the most iconic line deliveries in film history.
And no one ever gives her credit. The teacher is right? Because when you think about this, when you're thinking of like this, the amorphous, like, who cares about the teacher? The teacher says, we don't see her. But again, because like, oh man, like this, the fact like the husband is in the bar or during that low of lows moment before he gets the idea, I'm gonna jump off the bridge, of like my wife was crying for an hour.
Yeah.
Again, I would have loved just kind of like in like the warped parody of It's a Wonderful Life. I would have loved George like in the drunken say like, well, you know what? She got my daughter sick, and it's like, oh,
Jesus.
It's like maybe she should have been crying for an hour.
All right.
She could have given my daughter pneumonia. Anyway, so just the fact that every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, of course, earns such a wonderful, like, earned sentiment of, attaboy, Clarence, he got his wings. But just the fact of, like, yeah, you know what? Teacher contributed some good in enriching my daughter's holiday spirit, which is
Dragon. I feel like this podcast, just in general, we should just endorse the teachers and librarians of the world.
Yeah, that we should.
The world needs its educators, Dragon.
They should make sure the kids button up, but yes.
All right. And I think that's all she wrote, Dragon. I think that's it.
That is. I mean, do you want to reflect briefly on the 6 that we've covered?
Yeah, if you want to go down the line, sure, let's do it.
All right. Okay, let's see. So we started with a Flintstone family Christmas.
And I got to be honest with you, that one was a big nostalgic treat. I didn't even remember that I had watched it, but I liked it a lot. And most importantly, Dragon, it was a big fat refresher from that turkey that was Flintstones on the Rocks. Definitely redeemed Fred Flintstone's character in my mind.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And again, I rewatched it tonight.
Did you?
I watched all 3 of the Flintstones Christmas things. So again, the moment that gets me, just Fred Flintstone. Like, if Stoney says he didn't cheat you, I believe him. Fred Flintstone standing up for the kids, man.
Yeah,
something powerful about that. Now I'm getting all wishy-washy. Anyway, okay, let's see. I believe next we had 8-Bit Christmas.
Okay, I watched this in the height of me being in like post-recovery mode, so like I have memories of literal pain associated with this movie, but it's not that bad. It's just not great either. I feel like it's a pretty standard. Like it feels like a weak episode of the Goldbergs, Dragon.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm still peeved at it. I'm just like,
I don't know. I'm not harsh on it. It's a mixed bag anyways.
All right, so then we have Batman Noel.
This was damn good. I mean, honestly, it still might be the all-time best Batman comic I've ever read, Dragon. I mean that. Like,
yeah.
Well, like, what I mean by that is just kind of like, I love how they subverted all the Scrooge stuff. I love the artwork. The artwork is absolutely captivating. I mean, Like, Dragon, I'm just saying, like, obviously, like, long form stories are going to be better, but as a single issue thing, this was fantastic.
Yeah, Liber Meho.
Indeed.
All right. Fat Man.
Fat Man, honestly, probably the most, like, it had its moments for sure. Like I said, as I was kind of going on about in the podcast, just because I was looking for something to praise, I really liked the Mrs. Claus in this movie. Some cool magical realism. I made the comparison to Bubba Hotep that I think is pretty on point.
Yeah, it is I was very impressed with that comparison because it is very Bubba. It's Santa Claus meets Bubba Hotep.
Quite impressive. But ultimately, it's not very memorable for me, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I think it's an unsung kind of like I thought. I really love that world building there, but yeah. All right, so then we have Santa with muscles.
Okay, this was like, it's obviously shit, but it's a good. It's my kind of shit, and that's
I'm down for amnesiac Hulk Hogan Santa, just not the things that get us there.
Right,
or the fact that he's fighting ridiculous Nickelodeon villains.
Yeah, indeed.
But Ed Bigley Jr., he's giving it just the right amount.
It's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun.
It has its fun moments.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right, and obviously It's a Wonderful Life, just like fucking like 12 out of 10,
Right.
All right.
All right, folks. Well, before we go, again, thanks to that guy for tuning in.
Yeah, that guy, any amount of time that you spent with us listening, I really appreciate, because obviously it's Christmas Eve. I'm sure you have better places to do than listening to us schmucks. And just as a sentimental note, Dragon, happy holidays all the way around. I just want to shout out our subscribers just in general, because of course 2021 is the year that we made it to 1,000, and Dragon, we're on our way to 2,000. I mean, we haven't made that much of a dent yet, but we're at like roughly like 1,000. We're a couple shy of 1,030 right now, so we're getting up there, and I think 2,000 is going to come quicker than 1,000 did, and I'm I'm really excited to be to be on this journey with you. And of course, we've got Jacob Weil, our image guy. We got all our all our crews, the Connor Nielsen's, Jacob Gullivers, Rohith Dars of the world, a bunch of other people I'm not thinking of. I really think we have a great family of geek culture enthusiasts on this channel, and I really think that this year has been a great year for the channel growth, both in terms of the fan engagement and in terms of the people that we've brought on. So Dragon, I thank you for that. I thank you for another year of putting up with me. Like, I'm not saying this is like not going to be the last podcast we do in 2021 or anything. I just think this is a good spot to make these sentiments. All right, Dragon, take us out.
All right, folks, time to dash away all, but as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next year.
With even more seasonal shenanigans.
La 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 la
la la la.
Merry Christmas.
40s.